$10,000 a month after tax. For a Canadian couple, that sounds like a comfortable retirement. Travel, lifestyle, no financial stress. But what does it actually take to get there? Most people approach this question backwards. They start with a savings number and hope it adds up. What actually works is starting with the income picture, where every dollar of that $10,000 is coming from, in what order, at what tax rate, and building the strategy around that. Today, I want to walk you through 3 very different ways a Canadian couple can get to $10,000 a month, because depending upon on which category you fall into, the path looks completely different. And I want to show you one strategy that applies to all 3 that many Canadians have never planned for. And that can dramatically change how long your money lasts. Hi, I'm Stefano Francesca, Certified Financial Planner Professional and Senior Wealth Advisor at Next Step Wealth Management with IPC Securities Corporation. If this is useful, be sure to subscribe. And if you're a Canadian couple within 5 to 10 years of retirement, there's a link in the description to book a consultation. Let's get into it. What we're covering today is exactly what we build for couples every day in the context of a wealth management plan. Now, before we get into the 3 scenarios, there's a foundation every Canadian couple starts from, and most people dramatically underestimate it. Here's what I mean. A couple sits down with me convinced they need to fund their entire retirement from savings alone. Then we map out the government income they already have coming, and the number surprises them every single time. CPP first. The maximum monthly CPP benefit at age 65 is approximately $1,500 a month in today's terms. The exact figure is updated each year, so check canada.ca for the current number. Most people don't receive the maximum. The average new recipient at age 65 is closer to $925 a month because hitting that ceiling requires decades of contributions above the yearly maximum pensionable earnings. But for a couple where both spouses have worked, both drawing CPP, that foundation is already significant. OAS begins at age 65. Maximum OAS lands in the mid 700s per month for Canadians aged 65 to 74, adjusted quarterly for inflation. At age 75, it increases by 10% permanently. That enhancement took effect in 2022, and every Canadian who reaches that retirement age receives it automatically. Now, add those numbers up for a couple, both drawing CPP, both drawing OAS. That combined income floor, before a single dollar of personal savings is touched, is already meaningful. And every dollar of it is indexed to inflation, government-backed, and arrives every month regardless of what markets are doing. The gap between that government floor and your $10,000 target is what your savings, pension, or a combination of both needs to fill. How you fill that gap and how tax efficiently is where the 3 scenarios diverge. The first scenario is the most common one I see. A couple whose retirement income is going to come primarily from their own savings. RRSPs converted to RRIFs, TFSAs, probably some non-registered investments, and maybe a holding company with some cash in it. No defined benefit pension beyond CPP and OAS. For this couple, the size of the portfolio matters, but where the money is sitting and how it gets drawn down matters just as much, maybe more. Here's what most people don't realize. An RRSP dollar and a TFSA dollar are not the same in retirement, not even close. Every dollar out of an RRSP is fully taxable income. It stacks on top of everything else. It can push you into a higher marginal tax bracket. It can trigger OAS clawback. In Alberta, combined federal and provincial tax rates at the highest income levels can reach into the high 40% range. A large RRIF drawdown without a plan can result in significantly higher taxes over retirement if not managed properly. A TFSA dollar comes out tax-free. It generally does not count as taxable income and does not affect income-tested benefits like OAS. So for this couple, the drawdown sequence, which account you pull from first, at what rate, in which years, can be worth more than the rate of return on the portfolio itself. 2 levers matter most here. First, CPP timing. Delaying CPP past 65 adds 0.7% per month, a 42% permanent increase at age 70, plus the indexation of the yearly maximum pensionable earnings, which also adds a permanent increase. For a couple with enough RRSP or TFSA assets to bridge the gap between 65 and 70, that delay can add meaningful, indexed, guaranteed income for life, depending on longevity. Second, pension income splitting. At 65, couples can allocate up to 50% of eligible RRIF income to the lower earning spouse, reducing the combined household tax bill on every dollar drawn. Used together, these two levers can shift the entire tax picture. The second scenario is for Canadians who have spent careers in government, education, healthcare, or other sectors with defined benefit pension plans. If that's you or your spouse, pay close attention here. On paper, this scenario can look like the simplest of all the three. Add CPP, OAS, and the defined benefit pension amount together. If it reaches $10,000 a month after tax, you're done. But there is one detail behind or buried in most pension statements that changes everything, and the majority of DB pension holders have never really checked into it. Is the pension indexed to inflation, or is it not? Here's what that question actually means in practice. Imagine retiring with a pension paying $5,000 a month. 20 years later, that check still reads $5,000. But groceries, utilities, and travel all cost more than they did 2 decades ago. At 3% annual inflation, the same $5,000 now does the work of roughly $2,700 in today's money. The number on the check never changed. The lifestyle it can support has been shrinking quietly every single year since the day you retired. An indexed pension grows with the cost of living. A non-indexed pension is a slow-motion pay cut disguised as stability. And even indexed pensions have a fine print. Some plans offer discretionary indexing, meaning the pension fund board decides each year whether to grant it based on how the fund is performing. That is not the same as guaranteed indexing. And sometimes they offer a percentage of an index, so not fully indexed either. If you have a DB pension, understanding exactly what your indexing provision says is one of the most important things you can do before you retire. For this couple, the conversation is less about portfolio drawdown and more about longevity. How long this income picture holds up, what happens on the death of the first spouse, and whether there is an investment cushion to absorb what a non-indexed pension will eventually cost in lost purchasing power. The third scenario is where I see the most flexibility. A couple with a partial defined benefit pension from one spouse's career in the public sector, combined with a personal investment portfolio from the other. This combination is powerful precisely because it gives you options. The pension provides a guaranteed income base that arrives regardless of market conditions. The investment portfolio provides the drawdown flexibility to fill the gap, manage taxes, and adapt as needs change over time. For this couple, the strategy is about sequencing. The pension is already working, so the question becomes how to draw from the portfolio in a way that minimizes tax, protects OAS, and builds a TFSA as a tax-free buffer for later years. And this scenario tends to produce the best long-term outcomes when the approach I'm about to show you is applied, because that guaranteed income base creates the flexibility to actually use it properly. Here's the strategy I mentioned at the very top, the one that applies to all three scenarios. It's called a laddered income approach, and it's built around one simple truth about how people actually spend money in retirement. Most retirement income plans assume spending stays flat, same amount every month, every year for 30 years, hopefully indexed to inflation. That assumption is simple, it's also wrong, and it tends to be expensive. Here's how retirement actually unfolds. In the early years, you are active, mobile, and spending. You have travel expenses, hobbies, experiences, the things you worked 30 years to be able to do. This is when the money is being used for exactly what it was saved for, and you want to actually use it. As the years pass, the pace shifts naturally. The long-haul trips give way to closer destinations. Spending settles. The lifestyle is still good, it just costs less to maintain. In the later years, lifestyle spending often steps down further, though healthcare and support costs may move in the other direction. A laddered income approach builds this reality into the plan from day one. You draw more in the active years when you need it most, and step the income down gradually as life naturally shifts. This does two things. It lets you actually live the retirement you saved for, instead of holding back in your most capable years out of fear. And when structured properly, it can help extend how long the money lasts, because you're not drawing at the same high rate in your late 80s that you needed to in your mid 60s. For a couple targeting $10,000 a month, budgeting a laddered structure into the plan, rather than assuming a flat drawdown forever, can make a meaningful difference to the sustainability of the money and the size of what's left for the family. And when it's layered on top of the right account structure and CPP and OAS timing, the impact compounds further. One more thing every couple targeting $10,000 a month needs to understand, and it's the one thing that surprises people most when they see the actual math. At 3% inflation, a conservative long-run assumption, the purchasing power of a fixed dollar amount can halve over roughly 20 to 25 years, depending on how inflation actually plays out. The $10,000 a month you need today will require roughly double that in purchasing power 2 decades from now just to maintain the same lifestyle. This is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to build the retirement income plan around index sources wherever possible. CPP and OAS are indexed automatically, and to ensure the investment and drawdown strategy accounts for rising costs over what could be a 30-year retirement. A retirement income plan that looks perfectly funded at 65 and runs out at age 82 is not a solid retirement plan. So here's the real question, and it's not whether $10,000 a month is possible. For many Canadian couples, it is. The question is whether the plan you have right now is actually built to get you there and keep you there for 30 years. If your income is investment heavy, the drawdown sequence matters as much as the balance. If you have a defined benefit pension, the indexing provision matters more than the headline number. And if you have a blend of both, you have the most flexibility, but only if it's structured deliberately. Across all 3 scenarios, the Government Income Foundation of CPP and OAS contributes more than most people expect. A laddered approach, when built properly, can help extend how long the money lasts and improve the quality of the years when you need it the most. And inflation is the variable that quietly erodes plans that were never built to account for it. Getting to $10,000 a month is not just a savings target. It is an income architecture problem, and it has more solutions than most people realize if the right strategy is applied to the right situation. If you're a Canadian couple within 5 to 10 years of retirement and you want to understand exactly what your path to $10,000 a month looks like, which scenario you fall into, how your government benefits fit in, how your investments need to work to add income, and how to structure the drawdown to minimize tax and maximize longevity, click the link in the description to book a consultation. Our Next Step Wealth Management service maps out a roadmap for you to get there. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. It's exactly what we build for couples every day. Let's take the next step.